for those of you that don't know it, I was not going to do that more than 2 terms. I'm a big believer in term limits at the federal level. Someday we'll get them. We need them. So much of this place is run by people that have made a career out of it. That's got to change. Balanced budget amendment is needed out here as well. Being the case that it was either or, a lot of people had asked me to consider it. You set the agenda. You're the CEO of the state. I ran a scrappy little Main Street business, built it into a regional, then national company. 3 of my 4 kids work in that business, along with a good young executive team, had to give that role up when I got sworn in as senator. I just think our states need to be run by governors that have signed the front side of a paycheck. It's the biggest...
The public hasn't seen you in that executive role. That, of course, is a private company. We've seen you in the legislative role.
Yeah.
You have leaned very heavily on Donald Trump in your run for Senate. You've leaned very heavily on him in your run for governor. He endorses your run for governor, and you proudly endorse that in your own advertisements and your website, et cetera. Are you looking to embrace any part of the Trump philosophy, the Trump governing approach, if you in fact become the governor of Indiana?
Our styles would probably be completely different. I come from a more understated position that gets things done. He represents at least half the country fed up with business as usual at the federal level. That's how he got elected in 2016. That's why he'll be reelected here in 2024. This place is run by political enterprisers. I will take the approach of being entrepreneurial, problem solver, work on the issues that benefit all Hoosiers, lowering our healthcare costs, making sure we get a better bang out of our education buck, make sure rural broadband gets into every nook and cranny in our state, among a lot of other things. And I'm going to take my own unique approach to that. I get along with a broad spectrum of people because I listen to ideas, interested in best practices. It's not near as ideological running a state government is what it would be when you get into these big issues out here. We've been successful here in the dynamic by being one of the senators getting the most legislation through in the last Congress and again in this one. So I know how the system works. When you can set the agenda, get along with the legislature, you're willing to tackle tough problems, that benefits all Hoosiers. Plus, I'll be easy to talk to, easy access to hear what Hoosiers think as well.
On the issue of abortion, there's a settled law in the state of Indiana, which is one of the most restrictive in the country right now, that allows for only abortions and very limited exemptions. Are you happy with the law as it stands? Would you look to have the legislature change any portion of that law, or are you good with status quo?
I think the legislature took a good while to get that bill through. I don't think anyone in the next election lost their job on account of it. So I think you'd have to say that generally it reflects where our Hoosiers are. And Hoosiers are a pro-life community. That doesn't mean you're going to, a landslide, remember, is 60-40. And there's hardly anything that gets much beyond that. I think what they crafted with reasonable exceptions went through the committee process of regular order. It's had some instances where the courts have come in. And I think they did a good job out of the gate. So if that needs to be changed one way or the other, the case would have to be made through regular order, the committee process. But I think they did what other states are trying to do, is find something that at least reflects most of their constituents.
You are looking to replace a current Indiana governor who won 2 terms and in a fairly healthy landslide in both cases. He's not universally loved in the Republican Party, at least some members of the Republican Party in the state of Indiana, for handling COVID, et cetera. Would you give Governor Holcomb a good grade? Were there things that you did not like, things that you might change if you are governor?
I've already issued a B- on that because it came up in a debate. And I think he's done a good job on keeping the state in good shape economically. I think Mitch Daniels set that template, handed it over to Governor Pence and Governor Holcomb, and they did a decent job there. There are always going to be differences. I would fertilize the field of small business more than going after only large business when it comes to economic development. I'm naturally going to know how to keep our cash flow solid. I did that for 37 years. I've been a loud proponent on fiscal conservatism in the federal government, just that not many people pay attention to it here. So every governor is going to have their own things that they put as a high priority. I've not heard of any governor want to take on our high healthcare costs because you're taking on the biggest lobby in the state. And all I'm asking for is transparency, competition, getting rid of barriers to entry.
Thanks for watching. Here's another story you may like, and subscribe to the WSBT 22 YouTube channel.